Imagine a place on the internet, a place with no rules, no faces, no names, just voices from behind the screen, hiding behind unfamiliar letters. That's where it all began. From toes cut off for attention, to the whispers of a child from burning metal. From threats of massacre prevented by anonymous users, to a woman watched by cameras without ever blinking. This isn't fiction. These are real stories. 7 experiences from the darkest corners of the internet, a place known as 4chan. Each story opens a door to a nightmare you can't click away. And if you listen to the end, you might take something home you never invited in. It was 2 in the morning. The light from the computer screen was the only source of illumination in the cramped room. Behind it sat a young man in a gray hoodie, his eyes red and puffy. He was known only as No Finger on the forum. No real name, no personal photos, just anonymity and the clatter of text. He hadn't slept for 3 nights. On the screen, the thread he created remained active. The title was provocative. Dare you cut off your toe in front of the camera? Responses poured in. Some laughed, some cursed, but a small number encouraged him. They wrote phrases like, "Do it, so you'll be remembered," or "You could become a legend." It all started with emptiness. His life was boring. No friends, no steady job, just a growing sense of boredom piling up like mushrooms in his dorm room. He wanted to be known, not by his parents, not by his school friends, but by those behind the screens, who live in a world as dark as his own thoughts. When No Finger posted a photo of a rusty kitchen knife with the caption, 10 minutes left, responses came flooding in. Some suggested camera angles. Others challenged him to cut more than one. It all felt like a game. But for No Finger, it was real. Seconds ticked by. The camera was turned on. A blurry image showed a left foot with a trembling pinky finger. The knife was placed slowly on the skin. His breath was heavy. There was a pause. Maybe hesitation, or just wanted to prolong the moment for dramatic effect. Online viewers flooded the comment section with inflammatory remarks. Suddenly, the sound of metal slicing through flesh echoes. The camera shakes. A short scream, then silence. Blood drips onto the tile floor. The camera stays on. Comments explode. Screenshots are taken. The video spreads faster than a virus. But the story doesn't end there. After the incident, No Finger didn't appear for 2 days. Some claimed he died from blood loss. Others said he fainted and was taken to the hospital by neighbors. But one user uploaded a strange photo to the forum. The photo showed a handwritten message on the wall, written in blood. It wasn't me who raised a knife. The message shook the community. The thread was flooded with speculation. Was this just more sensationalism? Did No Finger create a fake narrative? Or was something darker at play behind the scenes? Suddenly, No Finger's account became active again. He uploaded a short video. His face was not visible, only the shadow of his feet. But behind it, faintly, there was another silhouette, unmoving, unblinking, just standing there, facing the camera. The forum fell silent. Even the harshest commentators didn't write anything for hours. Then, slowly, a new comment appeared. I saw that figure too, in my room. It was a typical Thursday in Michigan. Students were walking through the campus hallways, wearing thick jackets and holding cups of coffee. No one knew that their lives were hanging on the keystrokes of someone on the other side of the world. Meanwhile, on the 4chan forum, a user named SchoolShooter69 started a new thread on the board. The title was striking. I'm going to be a legend tomorrow. Get ready. The message was short, just a series of photos of weapons, a map of the campus building, and a list of names marked in red ink. At first, most users assumed it was just another troll. The forum was no stranger to empty threats, memes, and extreme lies designed solely to seek attention. But there was one thing that made this thread different. The details were too specific. The campus building map matched the actual location. One photo showed an open backpack, revealing a weapon that had never been uploaded before. Not from the internet, but an actual photo. A user named Pixel Detective grew uneasy. He wasn't a law enforcement officer, not a hero, just a 30-something unemployed guy who spent his time analyzing photo metadata on forums. He downloaded all the images and began digging into the hidden information behind them. Location, time of capture, camera type. One photo contained GPS coordinates. Pixel Detective immediately matched them with Google Maps. The location pointed to a cramped apartment in East Lansing, just a few blocks from Michigan State University. His heart raced. This wasn't a joke. He opened another forum and rewrote all the data, then contacted the FBI through their threat reporting channel. It wasn't easy. He had to convince them this wasn't a hoax. But one sentence made the agent on the other end of the line stop talking. I have GPS coordinates and digital identity. This person intends to do something tomorrow morning, and you only have 12 hours. Meanwhile, School Shooter 69 kept posting. His latest message read, I'll start in room 214. Anyone who tries to run will be the first target. The last photo he uploaded showed a neatly folded campus uniform on the bed. There were dried bloodstains on one of the sleeves. The FBI moves quickly. At midnight, a SWAT team knocks on the apartment door. There is no answer. They break in and find a young man in front of the screen, typing. A homemade rifle lies on the floor, not yet fully loaded. Several handwritten notes are scattered on the table, all containing the names of students who have never been mentioned on the forum. The next day, news of the arrest spreads, but the forum remained silent. No one knew who Pixel Detective really was. He deleted his account shortly after the incident. There were no congratulations, no confessions, but one anonymous user created a new thread with a single sentence. We saved them. The first comment that appeared after that, next time we might not be this lucky. When a major music label announced an online competition titled Meet Taylor Swift, they thought it would be the perfect campaign. The rules were simple. Upload a video, get the most votes, and the winner would get to have dinner with the pop star. But they forgot one thing. The internet never plays by the rules. Soon after the contest was announced, a new thread appeared on 4chan. The title was provocative. Let's send the most absurd person to Taylor Swift's event. Hundreds of comments appeared within hours. They weren't interested in meeting Taylor. They were interested in destroying the music executive's perfect scenario. Their target was a man named Charles, a longtime forum user, 39 years old, with a thick mustache and large glasses. He had a blank expression, a soft voice, and worked as a night guard in an archive warehouse. The video he uploaded for the contest seemed ordinary. He sat in a dark living room, playing guitar out of tune, and singing a Taylor Swift song in a slow tempo. He didn't smile. He was inexpressive. But that was precisely what fueled the chaos. Ratusan Penguna Malay Menyebarkan link video Charles D. Media Social. Mereka Memanfaatkan bot. Script otomatis. Bakan teknik manipulasi captcha. Untuk menaikkan jumlah suaranya. Dalam 3 hari. Charles berada di posisi pertama. Dalam seminggu. Ay unggul jauh di atas peserta lain. The contest organizers panicked. They investigated the source of the votes. But there were no explicit violations. Everything seemed legitimate, though clearly odd. The media began to highlight the phenomenon. Articles appeared with headlines like, Who is Charles, and why is he leading the Taylor Swift contest? Or, The internet is disrupting the entertainment industry again. But the story didn't end with laughter. A few days before the winner was announced, a new video surfaced on the forum. Charles was sitting in the same spot with dimmer lighting. He spoke softly. I never entered this contest. Someone sent my video. Then he bowed his head. Silence for a few seconds. I don't know who you are, but now there's someone following me home. Every night. The video's backdrop looked gloomier. There were faint knocking sounds in the distance. Charles looked behind him, but there was nothing there. Comments exploded. Many thought this was part of an ongoing troll, but some recognized something in the shadow behind the chair. Something resembling a human head. Unmoving, unblinking, just like the figure in the Nullfinger video. One user writes, This isn't just a joke anymore. We've summoned something. The night of the announcement arrives. The official winner's website disappears online. No winner is announced. No dinner with Taylor. Instead, a strange message appears on the official competition forum. He's met someone. but it's not Taylor. Her name is Suyin. At least that's what it says in the top left corner of the live stream. That never stops. Every day, every night, her webcam stays on. No music, no words, just the image of a young woman sitting in a small, pale-colored room, wearing the same blue pajamas every day. Dark forums on the internet began to take notice. At first, it was just odd entertainment. This girl has been live streaming nonstop for 2 weeks, wrote one user. But over time, something started to feel off. Suyin never spoke. She never laughed. She just sat there, walked to the small kitchen, slept on a thin mattress, then sat back down. Everything she did was slow and mechanical, as if she were repeating a pattern ingrained in her mind. Sometimes, she stared directly at the camera for hours on end, without blinking. Users on 4chan began collecting clips from the broadcast. One of them showed Suyin standing in the middle of the night, facing the wall, and slowly shaking her head from left to right for nearly 30 minutes straight. There was no clear reason, no sound, only the faint rustling of an old fan on the ceiling. Then the question arose, who turned on the webcam, and why was it never turned off? A user named Voidcracker claimed to have figured out the live stream source. He discovered that it originated from an old server on the outskirts of Seoul, belonging to a technology company that had gone bankrupt 2 years earlier. But the server was still active, funded by an unknown entity. They found the IP address. They matched it to a map. The location pointed to an old apartment on the 8th floor of a building that had long since disappeared from city records. There were no registered residents, no tenants, only automatic electricity bills being paid from an overseas account. One night, someone from the forum who lived near the location decided to visit the building. He brought a camera. His broadcast was watched by hundreds of people. The stairs leading to the 8th floor were dark and dusty. The walls were covered in graffiti, but there was no sound at all. In front of apartment 802, he stopped. He knocked. No answer. He tried peeking through a small hole under the door. Something moved quickly inside. Then the live stream went dark. At the same time, Suyin stood up. For the first time, she approached the camera, so close that her face filled the entire screen. She whispered. Her words were faint, barely audible. He won't come back. The stream continued, but Suyin never sat back down. She just stood there, staring at the camera. From that night onward, a black shadow began to appear in the corner of the room, growing larger over time. And a few hours later, the forum was flooded with reports from users claiming to have seen Suyin's figure appear on their laptop cameras. Only for a moment, in the darkness. An account named Binary Echo appeared on the technology board 4chan with a title that looked like a joke. My computer's possessed. I need a digital exorcist. Many laughed at it, but he continued with a story that made a small number of users start reading quietly. He wrote that every time he turned on his computer, a new folder appeared automatically. The name changed. Sometimes it was home, sometimes return, or just random numbers. Inside was always a single text file. It contained one sentence. You are being watched. At first, he thought it was malware, but no strange programs were detected. The antivirus found nothing. Even after he replaced a hard drive and reinstalled the operating system, the folder still appeared. Then the events began to shift from strange to terrifying. His computer turned on by itself at 3 in the morning. The speakers played static sounds interspersed with whispers. He tried to record it, but the recording files were always corrupted. Sometimes the screen went dark, displaying the silhouette of an unfamiliar face. A face that was too symmetrical, too calm. One night, when he opened his laptop, the webcam turned on. He forced it shut, but the camera remained on. It couldn't be turned off. A small green light beside it kept glowing even after the cable was unplugged. In panic, he covered the camera with tape, but the sound from the speakers didn't stop. In the forum, he uploaded screenshots of the screen filled with automatic text files. All contained variations of the same message. We're close. Don't open the window. Turn off the lights. One user tried to decrypt the pattern of the sentences. They discovered that the files formed coordinates when turned into an ASCII pixel map. The coordinates led to Binary Echo's house. One night, he wrote that he heard knocking sounds coming from his workspace, even though he was alone. He took his phone, went live on the forum. Other users watched him walk through the dark house, with only the light from his phone screen. In front of the workspace door, he stopped. The door is locked from the inside. I never locked it. He started knocking. There was no response, but the door began to shake slowly, as if someone was pushing from the inside. Then the phone screen went black. The next day, Binary Echo's account uploaded a video. There was no audio, just a recording of his desktop screen. But this time, the wallpaper was different. Previously, it was a picture of a mountain, but now it was replaced with a photo of a human face. The face was expressionless, with no mouth, and its eyes stared straight out of the screen, staring at whoever was watching it. The video ended with a folder slowly appearing on the desktop. Its name. Next. The political forums on 4chan are usually filled with heated debates, sarcastic jokes, and propaganda. But one night, a thread appeared without any cynical undertones. The title was just one word: confession. The first post was short and horrifying. I am an Israeli soldier. I fired bullets at a hospital that I shouldn't have. The initial reaction was disbelief and anger. Many accused it of being a hoax, propaganda, or just a troll. But the uploader, using the username Deserter Unit 13, began sharing evidence. Internal military base photos, encrypted conversations, satellite images of the bombing site that had never been published before. Everything matched the events that had just occurred a week earlier, but had not been reported by the media. He claimed to be in an artillery unit and had been given the wrong coordinates. They were ordered to target a location marked as an enemy weapons depot. But when the smoke cleared, the truth emerged. It was a small hospital with over 100 patients inside. Soon, forum users began helping to verify the claims. They matched the explosion patterns, traced military logistics, and even verified the missile launch time through open sources. However, things started to get weird when Deserter Unit 13 uploaded a video of himself. He was sitting in a small room with dim lighting, his face barely visible, only the silhouette of his worn uniform visible. He spoke in a soft, flat voice, almost as if he were reading from a script. I heard voices after the explosion, not human voices, more like whispers from burning stones. They said, I had opened something. He continued that since the bombing, he couldn't sleep for more than an hour without hearing cries, not from his dreams, but from the walls. In one of his last videos, he held a map pointing to the location where he and his unit had gathered after the attack. There, he said, the ground shook even though there was no earthquake. One of his soldiers disappeared the night after claiming to have seen a small child with empty eyes walking toward them from the ruins of a hospital. Then he showed a piece of paper, handwritten notes from one of his friends found the next day. The sentence was written repeatedly. They won't stay silent. They won't stay silent. They won't stay silent. Shortly after that, the Deserter Unit 13 account disappeared. All videos and images were automatically deleted. However, one user who managed to archive the last file found that its size was larger than expected. When opened with audio software, the file was not a video. It was an audio recording, crying, distant screams, and one voice that sounded like a child whispering in an ear. You have killed us. Now we are waiting for your turn. It started as a small challenge. Someone on the /x/ board of 4chan posted a photo of a metal spoon and wrote, try heating this spoon until it's red hot, then dip it in ice water. They say it summoned something. Most users laughed. Some mocked. But within hours, the thread turned into a mass experiment. Users from all over the world tried the challenge. They posted videos. Spoons heated on gas stoves, then dipped into bowls of ice. Small explosions occurred, and some reported hearing a faint rumbling sound coming from the cracked metal. However, the next night, the forum was flooded with complaints. Someone wrote that after trying the experiment, they had the same nightmare for 3 consecutive nights, about a long corridor with metal walls and the sound of children laughing from the dark end. Another user claimed to hear knocking sounds under their bed at exactly 2:34 a.m. What made all this even stranger was when an account named Thermal Void uploaded a short clip of themselves. In the video, their left hand was bandaged, severely burned. They spoke softly. The spoon exploded, but before it exploded, I heard a voice from inside it. They stopped speaking, their eyes blinking rapidly. It said, "I'm not finished." Panic began to spread. The forum began tracking the temperature of the metal used. Some tried replicating the experiment with different metals. But every time, the results were the same. Strange sounds from the metal, unusual cracks, and burns that didn't match typical physical reactions. One user, an engineering student from Brazil, uploaded the thermal data from his experiment. He wrote that the spoon showed a scientifically impossible layered temperature pattern, as if there was energy inside the metal emitting its own temperature waves, not because of heat from the outside. In his final video, he showed the spoon being heated, but this time, before it was submerged, the recording captured a faint whistling sound, even though the room was silent. When the spoon was submerged, there was no explosion, but the camera screen suddenly went black. The last few frames showed a shadow of a face, blurred but with wide-open eyes. Since then, one by one, users who participated in the challenge began disappearing from the forum. Their accounts remained active, but they only posted one word repeatedly: clinking. The forum admin eventually deleted the entire thread, but the recording spread outward to alternative storage sites. Even now, if someone types the words hot spoon into a certain search engine, the first result isn't a tutorial or a cooking video, but an odd audio clip containing repeated sounds. We come from metal. No one knows who found it first. A folder named Next appeared on the desktops of several 4chan users who had previously read the 7 stories. They never downloaded anything. They never opened the mysterious file. But the folder was there. The icon was different. It wasn't a regular folder icon, but resembled a thin red circle with a small slit in the middle, like an eye. Inside, there was only one text file. It was small. The contents were short. "You've read everything. Now you are one of them." Some users tried to delete the folder, but every time, it reappeared after the computer was restarted. Some tried burning their hard drives, replacing their laptops, even reformatting their entire systems. But the folder remained, as if it didn't reside on the hardware, but something deeper, something that came in with the stories. Some began reporting disturbances, not digital disturbances, but dreams, recurring dreams with a similar pattern. A long corridor, static noise, a faceless figure walking toward them. Sometimes there was a soft laugh. Sometimes there was just a knock on the bedroom window while they slept. One user uploaded a screen recording. He opened the next folder and found a new file named nullfinger.mp4. In the video, a narrow room with blue lighting is visible, along with an empty chair and a computer screen with no display. But slowly, the chair begins to spin. No one is sitting there. No one is touching it. The last few frames show a face. Not Nullfinger's face, but the face of someone who looks like the user themselves. A face staring directly at the camera, then smiling. There is no sound. After the video was uploaded, the user's account disappeared. All the comments they had written were automatically deleted. The threads containing their previous stories began to disappear one by one, as if something was trying to erase all traces. But every night, a new thread would appear on the forum with different names. Sometimes the title was Help. Sometimes Who Are They? But the content was always the same. I read everything. Now they're coming to my house. Then nothing. No response. No trace. Just silence. And in the bottom right corner of the screen, a new icon appeared. Not a folder. This time, just one word. Again. 7 stories. 7 doors have been opened. And now, after everything has been heard, after those faces have appeared in your mind, after that folder may have begun to form in your head, one thing becomes clear. Some things that start on the screen don't stop there. They cross over. They wait, and they always know who reads to the end.